Good evening, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm 3 minutes early. Shock horror. Alrighty, is your body talking to you? Is it actually yelling at you? I don't know about you, but I have been at a place with my health where I was backed into a corner. My body was yelling at me, telling me to tune in, to listen. Cravings, signs and symptoms are not things that happen because our body is misbehaving. They're things that happen because our body is trying to talk to us. So, hello, everyone. For those of you tuning in for the first time, I'm Tara. This is Wellness Wednesday. If you have been with me before, hello again. Thank you for joining me. And I want to start by, you may have seen the little infographic that I've popped up. If you haven't, type infographic or info or graphic in the caption and in the comments, and I can get that through to you because it's a really great visual to show us what deficiencies, what vitamins we may be deficient in, and how they show up in our skin, because our skin is actually our biggest detox organ, right? And what's happening internally is actually going to show up externally on our skin. So if I've ever got anything flaring up on my skin, I have to think, okay, what's happening? And I'll share a story to start because I love stories. And one prime example for this, and a reason why, alongside my study, why I wanted to share this with you all tonight, is because my eczema had flared up, and I hadn't had that for literally years and years and years. I suffered really bad as a child, as a teenager, and into my early 20s because I didn't look after myself. I ate a lot of dairy and gluten that I'm intolerant to, no self-care, a lot of alcohol, a lot of stress, and no really good healthy fats. Didn't even know what omega-3s were. And so I had this really bad eczema, and then it came back the other month, and I thought, oh, maybe it's just because of my study. I'm a bit stressed out with study and things like that, just getting used to it. And then I realized, oh, I've been out of my omega-3s, and as soon as I started taking them again, they disappeared. So if you're suffering things like eczema, skin conditions, it's often, vitamin C's or zinc or healthy fats, particularly omega-3. So that's a little side note, little tip for you guys to start with. But how many of you, give me a like or a love if you've been on a fad diet before? Maybe you've cut out heaps of different food groups and you've just still felt really crappy, or you've mainly done that because your focus has been on, you've wanted to lose weight. You've been very much focused on weight, and maybe you still are. That is okay. But the thing that I want to share with you is that we need to focus on eating a variety of foods as best we can, unless we've got intolerances. And my take on dairy and gluten is that the way they're processed these days does impact our gut, but that's my opinion. So you choose what works for you and your body. It's about tuning into you. And I give you this information to get you to start to listen into your body and tune into what might be happening for you. So there's my disclaimer there. Now, eating a rainbow of foods alongside managing our stress is the way to great health. And I want to talk a little bit more about certain class of vitamins. I spoke about the B vitamins a couple of weeks ago, and I want to speak to you today about what we call our fat-soluble vitamins. So vitamins A, D, E, and K. Now, I'm going to get a little bit technical for those of you sciencey, those of you that love it, those of you that don't, tune out and just listen to the summary at the end and the stories, because I'm going to share with you this in a bit of a nutshell. The whole blog is available up on my website. Those of you who are part of my mailing list would have got that ahead of time. So make sure that you subscribe to my mailing list. You get the free Goal Getter book. So wherever you see the link to get the free Goal Getter book, then just go and subscribe to get the book, and you'll get my weekly emails as well. So you get all of this information, all the juiciness, all the bonuses on before I actually go live. So fat-soluble vitamins mean that they can often be stored in our fat. We can actually become toxic with them because they don't process through our body and deplete from our body as easily as like our water soluble, like our B vitamins or our C. So that's why we're like, keep eating fruits and vegetables that are full of vitamin C, and make sure you're getting foods that have vitamin B, or if you're plant-based, take B12, because these need replenishing. Whereas your fat-soluble vitamins, they stick around a bit longer, so you may not need them every day, although it's good to kind of think of these foods. And because we can get toxic from taking supplements, particularly vitamins A, D, E, and K, this is where food first. Hey, Helen. Food first with everything. Like, we need to look at our diets first before going and popping 1,000 pills. And there's the blog that talks all about A, D, E, and K vitamins, but I really want to touch on 2 tonight, vitamins A and D, because I've got some really cool stories that I want to share. So I'd had issues with iron forever, and potentially still don't know, but what was happening is that I wasn't absorbing my iron. Now, vitamin A, hey Tess, is actually one of those vitamins that is really important, not only for vision. So, I say always eat your carrots. The rates of children who are actually going blind is increasing because children are not getting enough vitamin A. Now, people have been a little bit scared of vitamin A before, particularly in the baby producing realm, because of the consequence that it can potentially have with birth defects, because it does impact an older growth and development. But get it from food and you'll have no issues. So back to the kids, a lot more kids are going blind because they aren't getting enough vitamin A. It starts with issues with vision, with night blindness, and it can go to full-blown blindness. So if we don't get our vitamin A into our kids to help reverse this, there are going to be detrimental consequences. So what do we do for our vitamin A? You can eat liver. So any of these vitamins I'm talking about, you pretty much go have 30 grams of liver and you've covered yourself for all of them, because our liver in our body stores our vitamins. So of course, if you eat it, it's going to contain all the vitamins. However, for me, that's not for me. Maybe for you, go for it, because it's got an active form of vitamin A. So eat it and we get our vitamin A. However, for those of you who would like something a bit more palatable, think about your orange vegetables. Carrots are the number one. Now, they're high. You may have heard of something called beta carotene. This converts to vitamin A in our body. So taking our orange vegetables like carrots, number one, sweet potato, pumpkins, are going to help your body to get vitamin A. So potentially we're seeing these issues in children because they're not having enough vegetables. They're not eating orange vegetables and things like that, particularly kids. Anyone got fussy kids and they'll just eat like white or brown foods and that's about it? They're not experimenting with colors. So we need to try and get as best we can these foods into their bodies. Now, I'm not here to talk about how to do that. That's a story for another day. Previous speech pathology, working with kids background coming out in me. But really think about, okay, am I eating enough orange vegetables? I know for me, I was actually not eating enough of them. And the one way I can tell I'm not getting enough vitamin A, and you may have this, may know of someone who's had it, you may have had it in the past. Has anyone ever had those lumps, those little bumps on the back of their arm? This is another sign your body's talking to you. Those bumps, the chicken skin kind of thing they say. I noticed that I hadn't been having any carrots. I'd stopped having pumpkin. Thank gosh, Dad sent me home with like literally a truckload of pumpkin. And the bumps had come back on my arm. Now, it could be zinc. That's another culprit. However, I noticed I wasn't eating as much of my orange veggies. And as soon as I went back to doing that, the bumps on the back of my arm decreased and went away again. So bumps on the back of the arm, vitamin A, issues with vision, blindness, night seeing, vitamin A. So that's the first one I'm going to talk about tonight, vitamin A. Vitamin D is the second one I want to talk about. And I have been supplementing with vitamin D. I was taking one a day for about 6 months. And then I moved on to taking one maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Now, does anyone know how we get vitamin D? 10 points. How do we actually, what's a main source of vitamin D? Does anyone know where it comes from? Drum roll. So it actually comes from the sun. There are very few foods that actually contain vitamin D. So what happens is that because of the sun, the UV rays on our skin, bare skin, not through glass, not through fake tan, not through SPF, not through lotions, potions, gels, creams, nothing. Bare skin is best with this. So how many of you are guilty of spray tanning or putting tan on your skin, or always being so overcautious about sun exposure and skin cancer, and therefore you slather yourself in all kinds of lotions and potions. This can be great, however, it's blocking our ability for our body to absorb our vitamin D. So I love this analogy. I'm so passionate about this. I sat on a 3-hour nutrition lecture last week, and our lecturer was saying, so use this analogy. Imagine vitamin D in this way. The sun is like the sun, let's say, no, so the sun, imagine that as the fire. I'm just going to try to get this right. So the sun is the fire, the vitamin D is the ash. So the sun provides, the fire provides the vitamin D, the ash. Now, supplements the ash. So if you had a vitamin D deficiency and I just went and gave you some ash, if I gave you some vitamin D supplements, if you were cold and I just gave you some ash, so you're either cold or you didn't have vitamin D and I gave you ash or the vitamin D supplements, it's not going to warm you up, and it's actually not going to do very much at replenishing your vitamin D stores. So what do you need to do to get warm? You need to get by the fire. What do you need to do to get vitamin D in your body? You need to get out in the sun. So there is a website in the blog that talks about how much we need for how long, depending on the seasons, where we live. But rule of thumb, the UV index is usually under 2 in the months of June, July in New South Wales, where I live. So you can go out for half an hour, bare skin, face, chest, and arms exposed for 30 minutes to 60 minutes to get your vitamin D. So we need to be aiming for like 2 to 3 hours of sun exposure, bare skin a week, to be on track for our vitamin D. Now, we can't overdose on vitamin D. Our body has this mechanism where once we've got enough sun, it's produced enough vitamin D in our body, then it has this shut off mechanism. How cool are our bodies? So ditch vitamin D supplements and get your skin out. Be mindful of obviously Skin Smart, but get your skin out in the sun so that you can help with your vitamin D. So 2 to 3 hours in winter, obviously less, 10, 15 minutes in summer is enough. Another really interesting fact, some of you may have heard this, but if you're getting sunburnt a lot, it could be a sign that you are low in your vitamin A and your vitamin E. So if you're someone that burns, like my lecturer, he doesn't wear sunscreen anymore. He makes sure he gets enough vitamin A and E. And I'm not advocating for that at all. This is just a story to highlight. If he knows he's getting enough vitamin A and E, his skin does not burn less. Because how did they survive without sunscreen back in the caveman times? So really interesting thoughts. All right, so let's recap. Vitamin D. You can get vitamin D from the sun, and supplements are just like giving you ash to stay warm. It's not going to be effective. It's not going to fill up your tank. So we need to actually get that sun on bare skin to work. And we need to be mindful of what we're putting on our skin, because if you're using fake tans and lotions and things all the time, it actually changes the bacteria on our skin that can actually help with that vitamin D absorption into our skin. So you still with me, guys? Told you I'd get a little bit sciencey with aspects, but I'll go through and I will summarize towards the end. Okay, another really important, I'm going to briefly touch on E and K. I can't help myself. Vitamin E is a really great antioxidant, great for skin. It helps free radicals that can fly around in our bodies that are unstable, that can contribute to aging and ill health. Pretty much baseline, basic information. So there's 8 different forms of vitamin E, Best way to get them is through your diet. I've got a list of foods that have it. Because when you supplement, you only get the one form. It's usually the alpha form of the vitamin E. So just, if you're going to take vitamin E capsules, break them apart. I use my teeth. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't have done that. Cut them apart and get the vitamin E and put it straight on your face. Great for your skin. But in regards to vitamin E, eat it over supplements. In regards to all of it, really, unless you are significantly low in any of these because you've had blood tests done, then you may need to chat to your practitioner about supplementing. But food first, guys. K, it's our blood clotting hormone. And I want to raise this because it's a relevant topic for so many people in New South Wales, and other states that are dealing with the mice plague with their pets getting baited. So the baits work in stopping the vitamin K work in our body, so then the blood doesn't clot and they bleed out, and that's what happens to the pets and the mice. So an antidote to being able to help our pets if they do accidentally ingest bait is to give them vitamin K, because it helps blood clotting. So that's just a role of our vitamin K. And it's actually synthesized, it's actually created a little bit from food, but mainly our gut produces it. So if you've been on antibiotics or you have any gut issues, you may potentially be lacking in K. So go check out the blog. Check that out too, because that's really good to see what nutrients you're lacking in. Check out the blog and you'll be able to see actually more information about any of these vitamins if you need them. But your body's going to tell you, these signs and symptoms will come up. Okay, so we've talked about vitamin A being for vision. We've talked about it being important for our gut lining. We've talked about the vision and also the bumps on the back of our skin showing up as vitamin A issues. We spoke about vitamin D, getting it from the sun, getting out in the sun, bare skin. We spoke about vitamin E, great for capsules on your skin, food first. It's a great antioxidant. And vitamin K for blood clotting. So basically, eat your carrots, guys, to get your A. 30 to 60 minutes in the sun to get your D. Eat your greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains for your vitamin E, and support your gut health, and eat greens and cabbage, things like that, for your vitamin K. So comment below. Let me know if your body's talking to you or even yelling at you, and what you think it's saying by looking at that infographic that I shared the other day. I've gone for like over 15 minutes. I want to keep it short. So I trust that that's been helpful. Go check out the blog for more information. If you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, this is so much information, then I coach with my clients in bite-sized pieces. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if you're feeling like really overwhelmed and you're wanting some one-on-one support, I do complimentary 15-minute health chats. And Chow, my 6-week program, is actually starting. The June-July round starts on Monday, the live calls with that. So if anyone needs any support with group, you've got Chow. Information's in my bios. And if you want to chat more about one-on-one coaching, I've got my 15-minute free consults. I'd love to be able to support you, because guys, this information is life-changing. I finished with a client yesterday and he was like, this, I hate to sound corny, but this has been life-changing. So enjoy your evening, reach out if you need any help, and share this with a friend, family member who you know would benefit. Talk to you all very soon. Have a beautiful night. Enjoy the origin if you're watching it.